The South Today Bulletin, proudly brought to you in association with MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Tonight on the South Today, Glenlea residents are taking on the Dunedin City Council after being fronted with an unwanted bill. Arrowtown welcomes a new first response vehicle, made possible thanks to strong local generosity. And a new Monopoly edition is hitting the shelves, the board game taking inspiration from New Zealand's Garden City. Kia ora, good evening. I'm Hannah Wilkins. Residents of a suburban Dunedin Street claim they feel they're being left in the dust with a new council policy change leaving them out of pocket. The residents want the DCC to fully fund dust suppression on their street, which they say would save them tens of thousands of dollars.
This is one of the few unsealed gravel roads in suburban Dunedin, and it's causing quite a stir. These residents of Islay Street in Glenlea are taking on the Dunedin City Council after a policy change earlier this year called for them to pay for the sealing of their gravel road. The DCC decided that costs of dust suppression through sealing a road should be split 50-50 between homeowners and ratepayers, leaving the locals frustrated.
Again, we just feel it's unfair for 6 residents to be expected to pay for dust suppression on a public road.
Resident Glenn Standering believes the council's policy change was aimed at streets in rural areas, but insists around 95% of traffic on Islay Street wasn't from the road's residents. And the bill to seal the busy road would come with a hefty price tag.
To buy oil, Islay Street, it would cost $9,000 to buy oil, or $36,000 to auto seal it. So, and again, on a very public road, it's just, we just feel patently unfair.
The residents appealed to the DCC during a council meeting on Monday, presenting a petition and arguing the sealing of Islay Street is basically public maintenance. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A man has been charged with arson in Dunedin following a massive fire that tore through a vacant boarding home last week. Police confirmed that a 57-year-old man has been charged in relation to the Phillip Street fire last Friday. The derelict building was known to house a number of homeless people, and it was feared someone may have been trapped inside during the fierce blaze. Luckily, it was later discovered no one was inside. Emergency services were able to swiftly respond to the scene and contain the extensive fire, preventing further damage to the surrounding properties. The boarding house was already scheduled for demolition after a man was killed in the building last year by another fire. Police are thanking members of the public who assisted them with the investigation. The Arrowtown Volunteer Fire Brigade is celebrating the arrival of a new medical first response vehicle. It's 6 years since it was suggested the brigade needed to replace its old vehicle, prompting a big fundraising effort.
A brand new set of flashing lights will be driving around central Otago as the Arrowtown Volunteer Fire Brigade welcomes in their new medical first responder vehicle. The new fire truck, named Arrowtown 7833, arrived after a massive fundraising effort by the local community to help raise the $150,000 needed for the vehicle and equipment. Senior volunteer firefighter Calvin Perryman says it was first suggested 6 years ago, as the old first response vehicle was showing its age after 17 years of use.
Yeah, so the previous response vehicle we had here in Arrowtown, we had our first call out on that in December 2005, and it's actually responded to just over 900 emergency calls.
The fire brigade also commissioned a new cardiac monitor to be fitted to the first responder. Arrowtown 7833 will be primarily used to attend medical jobs, car accidents, and to get access to more remote areas around the historic mining village.
Yeah, we're lucky that we've got some updated equipment along with this vehicle as well. It is four-wheel drive, so we can access the likes of a lot of cycleways, bike tracks, and the likes of the Macetown Road.
With the help of the newly formed Arrowtown Volunteer Fire Brigade Trust, Perryman says they now plan to update the vehicle every 5 years as their new equipment storage box can be moved from one vehicle to the next. In Arrowtown, the South Today.
Emotions were running high in a Dunedin City Council meeting yesterday as accusations of racism were thrown around by councillors.
Tensions flared as Dunedin City Councillor Lee Vandervis voiced his concerns in Tuesday's meeting about a draft submission regarding emergency management law. Vandervis argued it was disproportionately focused on Māori inclusion and co-governance. This sparked a heated exchange between himself and Councillor Marie Laufiso, who accused Vandervis of racism. He requested that a comment be formally recorded in the meeting minutes, also throwing back some allegations of his own.
Councillor Laufiso has, in a recent meeting, referred to me as male, stale, pale, which is racist, sexist and ageist.
Dunedin Mayor Jules Radich tried to maintain order, refusing to accept any inflammatory adjectives from either of them. However, Laufiso didn't agree with the way the mayor was ruling the exchange.
I'm going to argue that this, you didn't uphold the point of order to begin with.
Look, you're not going to argue with it. I am upholding
because it was blatant racism.
Radich eventually upheld Vandervis's point of order, so Laufiso withdrew her comment, allowing the meeting to continue. Vandervis was the only councillor who didn't approve the council's draft submission. The Dunedin City Council voted in favour of supporting iwi and Māori organisations, ensuring they would be reimbursed for welfare costs incurred during emergencies. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The sunny weather has continued for riders on this week's tour of Southland, with the road cycling race still wide open. Cyclists left Riverton on Tuesday morning in fine conditions. The lack of wind saw riders averaging 48 kilometres an hour as the route took them along the coast and through Colac Bay. The third stage of just under 150 kilometres is a gruelling challenge for the legs, with the Blackmount Ridge hill climb sorting the men from the boys. Marcus Cully and Max Campbell paired up to break away from the pack, building a lead of almost 7 minutes. But they were caught on the home ride after Cambridge cyclist Zach Patterson won the sprint home in Te Anau to claim the stage for a second year in a row. And Tokyo Olympian Regan Goff narrowly held the leader's jersey going into today's stage to Queenstown and up the Remarkables. We'll bring you the highlights of that tomorrow night. Christchurch is joining the ranks of other parts of New Zealand to get its own regional version of a popular board game. The Mr. Monopoly character jumped off a Central City tram this morning to fanfare as he unveiled the Garden City's very own Monopoly board.
The city of Christchurch passed go on Wednesday morning as residents celebrated the launch of its very own Canterbury-themed board. The Christchurch edition of Monopoly features well-known landmarks like the Avon River, the Court Theatre and Arana Wildlife Park. The prime dark blue spots, usually held by Mayfair and Park Lane, went to the Cathedral and Hagley Park. Christchurch is the 5th New Zealand location over the years to get its own regional Monopoly board.
It's one of New Zealand's biggest cities. It's got a really vibrant culture, and we also think it's got a really strong community and has been super resilient in the last decade with everything it's been through. So we thought, why not bring something positive to Christchurch?
The regional Monopoly sets are manufactured and distributed by Sydney-based company Winning Moves, under licence from American toy giant Hasbro. Cantabrians got to vote earlier this year on which city landmarks they wanted to see included in their game.
We get locals to say what they want on the board, we talk to the council, we talk to tourism boards, we talk to businesses.
And while most of the spots will be familiar to residents, one or two may be a surprise, and you won't see any Christchurch streets featured on the board.
Instead we do iconic locations, attractions, education spots, hospitality. We try and showcase the best of Christchurch, and we want it to be an addition both that locals are proud of but that tourists can pick up and kind of see all the hot spots.
And while the local aspect may make the game feel more homely, the rules haven't changed, ensuring Monopoly remains a challenging and frustrating game for many players. The new edition's already in stores at a retail price of around $70. In Christchurch, the South Today.
E whai Yakane, still to come on the South today. South Island marching groups make their way to Gore for a showcase of epic proportions. And after 40 years, an iconic derby makes its way back to Timaru for a day of revving fun.
Hey guys, don't fork over your cash till you've seen my mate John's cracker deals. John really has blown the roof off prices. He's slashed 20 to 75% off everything store-wide. Plus you can pay it off over 18 months interest-free. Great range, fantastic service and always a better deal. Now that really is a cracker. 20 to 75% off.
Where did you get that furniture from? Stafford Street. And my mate John.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Such a sweet girl. What are you dreaming about?
Just music.
Power of Dreams by Honda.
Here at Age Concern Otago, we offer a range of services to support Otago seniors to age well with dignity and independence. We provide social work support, visiting service, health promotion and social activities. Check out what we have on offer at ageconcernotago.com.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Tēnā koe, welcome back. Southlanders were treated to an impressive showcase of precision and unity over the weekend as a number of talented female marching bands took centre stage. Performers from across the South Island journeyed to Gore for this year's leisure marching event.
Ladies donned in vibrant coordinated uniforms, marching to some familiar theme tunes. This year's South Island Leisure Marching event got underway at the Gore MLT Multi-Sports Complex on Saturday. Teams from around the regions showcasing their 5-minute routines. A large crowd of supporters watched the 28 teams marching to the beat, with around 300 female marchers performing across the day, grateful to be inside.
Thank goodness we've got this amazing facility. We can be indoors, out of the weather. It's a bit cold, but you get moving and you don't feel the cold. It's been great.
She says the teams had put in a lot of practice leading up to the event, polishing up their marching techniques and routines. Organiser Julie Chisholm marches for the host team, Gore Golden Cavaliers, and was happy with the turnout and performances from visiting teams.
There's no judging, but we just critique the heck out of each other, and we know when we've done well and when we haven't, and it's all, you know, we do it because we enjoy it.
And she's hoping some of the spectators in Gore might be inspired to take up the activity, encouraging more women into leisure marching. In Gore, the South today.
Many homemade vehicles were zooming through South Canterbury recently as local residents were treated to some family fun action. Carnage and chaos took over the streets of Timaru as the Alpine Energy Soapbox Derby returned to its roots for the first time in more than 4 decades.
It looks like Evel Knievel has made his way to Timaru, but on a much smaller scale. More than 1,000 locals were out in the blue skies and sunshine on Sunday, which were the perfect conditions to enjoy the 43rd Alpine Energy Soapbox Derby. The racing spectacle encourages local businesses and keen enthusiasts to build the fastest race cart, pushing it to the absolute limits by hurtling down this obstacle course.
So these events that especially get people out and about and brings people to the region is fantastic.
The annual race is a staple event in Timaru, the 2023 course returning to the original Stafford Street location for the first time since the 1980s. The rapid descent sees racers dodging hay bales and catching air before coming to a halt on George Street, providing a chaotic but enjoyable spectacle for the crowd.
Yeah, I'm happy with the turnout, especially with the crowd. It's been a really, really good turnout. With the entries, we could always have more, but naming the less entries, the more runs each cart gets. As we found in this event this year, that some carts are only getting a couple because their tyres are popping.
Alpine Energy was the sponsor of this year's Soapbox Derby, with all money raised from the event going towards mental health organisations in South Canterbury. In Timaru, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Islay Road residents have appealed to the Dunedin City Council, urging them to take the cost of sealing their road. Arrowtown has welcomed a new medical fire truck to its fleet, thanks to a massive community fundraising effort. And Christchurch has officially passed go, with big celebrations for the city getting its own regional monopoly board. And now we'll look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, and we welcome back Associate Editor Mike Houlihan. Hello Mike.
Evening, Hannah.
What can we expect to read in tomorrow's paper?
Well, quite a bit of fire in tomorrow's paper. We have an arrest made in the arson, alleged arson in the Dunedin boarding house in the city last week. Also a Bannockburn winemaker has lost several $1,000s worth of wine as his cellar went up in smoke over the weekend. Warning to people there to keep a fire extinguisher close at hand. There were a block of buildings in Princess Street that were being demolished. They had to halt work earlier on today because one of them started falling down of its own accord, which perhaps demonstrates exactly why they're pulling them down right now. There is also our art section tomorrow, and there's 2 cracking reads in there, one about the NZSO, which is having a 3-night stand in Dunedin this weekend, and also a prediction of the Cherry Orchard on at the Mayfair Theatre.
Yes, okay. Well, thank you for sharing tonight, and we look forward to reading tomorrow.
Thank you.
Time now for a look at the weather.
The South Today weather, proudly brought to you by MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.
Looking at the situation, there'll be mostly cloudy skies across the region tomorrow, but look out for showers and thunderstorms from Friday and through the weekend. Heading to the top of the South Island, showers with light winds and 19 degrees up in Nelson tomorrow, but it's dry in Greymouth and Christchurch with northerlies and some cloud with 18-degree highs. Travelling to South Canterbury and North Otago, nor'easterlies and partly cloudy skies make for a fine day through here with varying temperatures, up to 18 in Ashburton, 17 for Timaru and 16 the day's high in Oamaru. Heading westwards to the Central Lakes, and the good conditions continue as we move over here with high cloud and light winds across the board. But by numbers, it's an 18-degree day in Queenstown, 19 in Whanaka and up to 20 degrees in Alexandra. Heading through the south, a warm day here with light winds and high cloud with 18 degrees in both Gore and Balclutha, but a bit windier in the Catlins with southwesterlies and a high of 16. Across to Invercargill, low cloud with light winds and a low of 9 tonight. The next 2 days look fine with light winds after some misty starts with highs of 18 degrees on both Thursday and Friday. And finally heading to Dunedin, looking foggy tonight as it drops down to 11. Then it's 2 carbon copy days really, lining up to bring low cloud across the morning with the chance of an afternoon shower, but otherwise fine with highs of 16 degrees. And that's the news this Wednesday. For the latest news and videos from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. You can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand, or follow us on Facebook. Search for the South Today NZ to see our favourite stories from around the regions. We'll see you again tomorrow. Ka kite o popo.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.
The South Today Bulletin proudly brought to you in association with MoleMap, the skin cancer detection specialists.